In this lesson, we'll discuss an introduction to Windows PowerShell. In our intro to Windows PowerShell, we'll start our discussion by talking about what is PowerShell. Then, we'll move on into commands. And finally, we'll talk about navigating PowerShell and how you can get help while using PowerShell. So, let's get started. Windows PowerShell is a task-based command line shell and scripting language designed especially for system administration. It is built on top of a .NET framework. Windows PowerShell helps IT professionals empower users' control and automate the administration of the Windows operating system and applications that run on Windows. It can be used on Windows XP and Vista, Windows 7, and Windows Server 2003 and 2008. Although with the exception of Windows Server 2008, for all the other entire version of Windows, you have to download PowerShell from Microsoft, and it's a free installation. Commandlets. CMDlets are pronounced as commandlets. Commandlets are specialized commands in the PowerShell environment that implement specific functions. One good example that you might notice here in this text graphic is get-content. Now, when you're working in commandlets, it follows a verb-noun naming pattern. Get is the verb, content is the noun, helping it to make them self-descriptive. PowerShell scripts. PowerShell script commands are simply commands that have been saved to the file system. Scripts are commonly saved with a .ps1 extension. Scripts let us save a commonly used set of commands to a file so that we can run it many times without rekeying the script. If your PowerShell's current location is the same as the location of the script, you can execute the script by placing a dash in front of the script name. PowerShell functions. Functions organize commands and statements into a reusable chunk of code. Native. Native commands are simple. Native commands are those that run outside the PowerShell process. When you open a .docx file in Microsoft Word, you are using a native command. And that's the end of our introduction to Windows PowerShell. Let's take a look at PowerShell. Okay, so here we are on a Windows XP. Now, this system has a PowerShell installed on it. So, what that means is, if we click the Start button, and we click All Programs and go to the Accessories, you'll notice there's an option of Windows PowerShell. For this lesson, let's take a look at Windows PowerShell just so we can have a great idea on how it works. To start with, let's do a few things that you would do normally for a command prompt. For example, as a network administrator, you might type in ipconfig. And you can see that Windows PowerShell allows you to do that just the same as the command prompt. If you want to stop a service, you could type netstop and type in the service. In this case, we'll stop the web client information store and then hit enter. And the server stopped. Now, if you want to start that service up again, we will type netstart and just type in the name of the service. And the service start again. So you can see that by using PowerShell, you're not losing any of the abilities that you had previously in the command shell. This is more powerful command line interface, but it doesn't ignore the commands you already know. Another command is CLS, which clears your screen. So we're back with the top here. Now let's take a look on the use of commandlets. And we will have an opportunity to see how we navigate the PowerShell. So if we type in get-process, you'll see we have the verb get and the process is the noun. And hit the enter. Notice that it shows all the processes we have running. Inside Windows PowerShell, you can access the command list by typing the command get-command. This displays all of the commands available in PowerShell. Now, one thing that's interesting here is you notice there's a variety of different write commands. Let's say you want to use a write command but you forgot what is the secondary part of the commandlet should be. Well, if you type in write dash, put the dash and hit the key tab. The tab key completes the information. So, tab key can be very helpful. In addition, if you use the up and down arrow keys, this allows you to go backwards and forwards in finding the commands you already typed. Now, how about getting help for any of these commands? Well, actually, if you type in help, space, and then type in the command, let's type in the last of these commands, write dash warning. You can see that the PowerShell returns to you an information on how to use the particular commandlet. And that's the end of our video tutorial. I hope you find the information helpful.